Heritage Hill State Historical Park is a living history museum devoted to the preservation of its buildings and artifacts and the interpretation of the history of Northeast Wisconsin and its people. Our purpose is to provide an educational experience that encourages visitor awareness, understanding, and appreciation of the history of the region. In the 1960s, local historians and preservationists had the idea of bringing together all of the historical buildings in Green Bay to one location. In 1966, the Brown County Historical Society tasked an initial planning committee to explore that idea. Committee members started lobbying in the community and throughout the state for land to build a historic site. The big break came when plans to build the Alloway-Ashwaubenon Bridge separated the buildings from the orchards at the Green Bay Reformatory, making it more difficult to supervise prison labor. The route selected went straight through the prison's farm, leaving 48 acres of surplus property and an opportunity for the Historical Park Committee to make Heritage Hill a reality. The Wisconsin Department of Corrections owned the land that was made available, and with Dorothy Strobel Wittig spearheading the drive, the Wisconsin DNR was approached seeking their support for the creation of the new historic area. Despite struggles and various setbacks, the land finally came under the control of the Department of Natural Resources. In 1972, the DNR Natural Resources Board approved the establishment of Heritage Hill and the 48 acres of land that was transferred to the DNR. The park opened on May 1, 1977. Over the next 20 years, over 20 buildings were either moved to or built on Heritage Hill grounds, where the interpretation of northeastern Wisconsin history from 1670 to 1940 is told. Heritage Hill has more than 11,000 artifacts in its collection, mostly displayed in our buildings. This collection contains many donated pieces from the Green Bay De Pere Antiquarians, Brown County Historical Society, the Wisconsin Historical Society, and items donated directly to Heritage Hill. This extensive collection contains original artwork, books, clothing, and furnishings dating from the 17th century to present. The addition of Heritage Hill's artifacts completes the collection's area. 3 different organizations aid the park in its mission. The Heritage Hill Foundation solicits and manages donated, granted, and bequeathed funds to help support the growth as well as the operation of the park. Over 95% of funds to pay for Heritage Hill come through admissions, private donors, and rental of the park. The Heritage Hill Corporation is charged with the operations, maintenance, and development of the park under terms of a lease with the DNR. The Wisconsin DNR owns the land and buildings that make up Heritage Hill. Heritage Hill describes the history of northeastern Wisconsin from 1670 to 1940. The history is broken up into 4 different areas: LeBay, Growing Community, Fort Howard, and the Ethnic Agricultural Area. The LeBay area covers almost 300 years of history, including French Jesuit missionaries, the fur trade under British rule after the French and Indian War, and the American legal system that was introduced after the War of 1812. Visit the Bark Chapel, Fur Trade Cabin, Maple Sugaring Shack, the courthouse, and the courthouse monument, signifying the location of Wisconsin's first courthouse. After the War of 1812, Americans looked to better defend the Old Northwest for ensuing settlement. As Americans pushed westward, the U.S. government ordered a chain of forts to be built in the western frontier. Constructed in 1816, Fort Howard connected eastern forts with the frontier outposts. From 1820 to 1822, the troops at Fort Howard temporarily moved to the east side of the river, and formed Camp Smith on the land that is now Heritage Hill. In the Fort Howard area, you may visit the officers' quarters, the Post Schoolhouse, and National Registered Buildings, the Company Kitchen Orderly Room, and Fort Howard Hospital. The Fort Howard Hospital is the oldest standing military hospital in the United States. From 1850 to the end of the 19th century, numerous communities were expanding in Wisconsin due to the influx of immigrants. Our growing community depicts some of the trades that were found in Green Bay during the last half of the 19th century. In the growing community, you will visit the Franklin Hose Company, library, print shop, blacksmith shop, Baird Law Office, Alloway Town Hall, Victorian Bandstand, the oldest church in Green Bay, the Moravian Church, and the oldest home in Wisconsin, Tonk Cottage. Tonk Cottage and Baird Law Office are on the National Register of Historic Places. Farmers from the Brabant province of Belgium began immigrating to northeastern Wisconsin in 1853. They were enticed by Antwerp advertisements of farmland at $1.25 per acre and the promise of French-speaking communities. These Belgian immigrants built sturdy homes, cultivated the land, and were able to adjust to life in America. In the ethnic agricultural area, you may visit the Roadside Chapel, Belgian Farm, Cheese Factory, Cotton House, and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The Cotton House is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and tells the history of Green Bay from 1840 to 1940. Heritage Hill is a wonderful place to visit. It has so much to offer through its programs and special events. Its educational programs for school-aged children are especially a main attraction of the park. This is because Heritage Hill is dedicated to educating youth on the historical development of our region and nation. We offer creative, hands-on learning programs that address curriculum standards and benchmarks. Students enjoy programs in our historic buildings or our rustic yet modern classrooms in the Education Center. We also make history come alive with programs that come to area schools. All of our programs involve engaging learning activities that challenge critical thinking and promote higher learning skills. If you are visiting Heritage Hill in the summer, you'll want to take advantage of our special events. Consider becoming a Heritage Hill member and visit Heritage Hill all summer long. Take in our free music concerts on the Village Green. Watch as our park comes alive with reenactments, our Laura Ingalls Wilder Day program, our Belgian Farm events and celebrations of national holidays. Heritage Hill is the perfect place to create lifelong memories with your families. The historic East Side Moravian Church at Heritage Hill was constructed in 1852 and is the oldest standing church in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Along with the Victorian Bandstand, it is home to over 70 weddings annually. The historic charm and amazing acoustics of the Moravian Church makes it an ideal wedding location. The large white Victorian Bandstand is the perfect quintessential backdrop for an outdoor wedding. The addition of the Betsy Hendrickson and Luciana Hitch Education Center in 2006 has provided a stunning space for receptions, business meetings, or rentals of any sort. On the upper level, the west-facing windows and doors that provide an exquisite view of the park and sunset. The lower level's hardwood floors, fireplace, and natural light makes this cozy space unlike anything you'll find in the area. The garden patio located just off the lower level is a great venue complete with beautiful landscaping for an outdoor event. Our gift shop features a unique selection of historic and educational toys, nostalgic candy, bonnets, aprons, and caps for children. Adults will enjoy our selection of artwork, teacups, glassware, Christmas ornaments, pottery, beeswax candles, and books. Heritage Hill is a non-for-profit 501c3 that is 95% privately funded that relies mainly on our park admissions and private donations. Please consider donating to Heritage Hill to preserve history. For more information, contact Heritage Hill State Park at 920-448-5150 or at heritagehillgb.org.